Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Trekyards. He is the great Commander Cockings, at least personality-wise, inside. I mean, outside's kind of a, yeah, but internally, interiorly, he's great.
And he's just Stuart Foley.
I've been demoted. I'm AKA Captain Foley, just for anybody that just...
So he says. Until we do our detailed breakdown, Stuart, of your rank and your birth certificate and all that stuff, we can't know. But first, before that, Stuart, we'll do a first reaction to Voyager. My goodness, the one, the only Voyager. Now, the exterior, we done. Really good. Really, really good. And there's a lot of reference to the exterior. You can make a perfect replica. It's not the hardest thing in the world. Yet the team at Lower Decks, they said, we're gonna buy several mics and then drop them. Because they built interiors.
As long as they don't drop Mike McMahon, we need him.
That is true. They built almost the entire soundstage. It's excessive. Now, maybe some are like, drawn cheats, right? Maybe. But it is exceptional amount of work was involved in this. That's what we're going to look at today. First reaction, then more detailed later in the week.
Well, I got to say, make sure you're subscribed and notified so you don't miss any of our other videos, guys. Come on. We do lots of great breakdown and detailed videos. Anyway, I got to say, when I first saw the interior, I was impressed. I really loved the lighting effects that they had. It felt a little bit darker than the Cerritos, a little bit more cinematic, if you will. It just suited the lighting of Voyager, and I think they did a phenomenal job. I got to see more of the interior than I really anticipated, which was, again, fantastic. There's a few of things we kind of missed. I would have loved to have seen Janeway's ready room again or something like that. But, we did see the galley. We did see a lot of hallways. And
sounds like you wanted 3 or 4 kitchen sinks.
Yeah, sure. Throw them all in.
Yeah. But we're going to start sort of big sets first. The bridge. A lot of close-ups. They were not shy. And a lot of good wide shots, which you rarely get in Voyager. You don't quite realize the full scale. But this is a very broad shot. So what does your brain see? How close do you think it is? What are you feeling?
Well, I think it's very close. You can see the scale of it here. It is quite large. I never got really a sense of how big Voyager's bridge was before. I know we didn't really see large, faraway shots of it, so it's hard to get a feel for the size. But I gotta say, I really love the design of Voyager's bridge. It's very ergonomic and very, very nice looking as well. It's got the functionality and it's got the aesthetic. And this just looks to me to be perfect. I know you've done a lot more work with the interiors though, so I'm sure I'll get schooled on what's wrong.
What's funny is, and that'll be the full breakdown as well, we did the, for Trek shots we built an Intrepid, I didn't build it, but my team did. For the first film we did, and it felt great, and then 2 years later we made a second one, and I actually went in and pointed out all the errors, because modeler did it but didn't really pay attention to all the small things. I had 6 pages of notes to truly get it perfect, but they are small things to medium things to stuff like that when there's a right answer, right? But until you find a clear shot of Tuvok's, how do you know what under Tuvok station looks like? It's not on blueprints, right? There's no diagram, so I had to scroll through every single episode of Voyager for the half frame, for the half whatever. Until you find that, you can't replicate it, right? And I did that, and it was great. So I know it quite well. This is a funny old one because focal length matters. How wide it feels. Tuvok Station feels really wide. Really wide. But then so do the chairs, because actually it's a wide angle lens, so can I feel the whole thing? I don't know, right? Because they would have blueprints of this. This should be an accurate blueprinted thing. But also Lower Deck style is to be more wide. I feel a bit more distorted, right? So it feels amazing, but then it all kind of feels a bit distorted. But that's also the style. Could be the camera. So I'm a bit confused. The LCARs certainly trip you up because they're way too big. They've just sort of done summary LCARs. They did the main MSD, which is phenomenal. But they've not even really tried to get the LCARs correct. Just because they're actually quite small, the LCARs. And that's why it sucks to redo them. The detailed. And this is just kind of, it feels appropriate for the size of the shot, but not for the actual size of the panel, etc. Except the MSD, which is wonderful.
Well, I do really like the LCARs, though, the way they were presented.
No, they work. Yeah, they actually work, but in the cartoon format, right? But I love the interactive lighting on the under light things, all the blue. It's all the detail that made it a good design are here. But here's a reverse shot, which Shows off the science stations, which you sort of forget are there a lot of the time, but are there, and they're pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, again, you never really see... You see close-ups of like the view screen. You see the science, but to put them all in perspective like this,
And in widescreen. And never done in Voyager.
Yeah, and even the console on the rail there behind the captain's seat is like, this is actually very cool. I love the color scheme too for Voyager, that darker color.
It is definitely darker than the real set, but I think it's close to a Red Alert-ish. But if you make it too bright, then it wouldn't all quite work. Because if you look at the science station, it's almost pitch black. It's weird. The carpet is almost pitch black, but the console and above the carpet is very bright, which doesn't make sense. So there's clearly, and also like to the side of the science console, there's no light hitting the bottom of that pillar, but it's brighter. So there's a disconnect here of lighting, but it doesn't matter, right? Like, it's a cool look. I love they kept the view screen correct, because it's a good looking view screen designed for 4:3. So it doesn't take up much of that wall. Nowadays it would be a third wider for anamorphic, but it's actually not the biggest view screen in the world.
Yeah, if this was done today, the whole middle part there would all be just one solid.
Or if the Resolute, it'd be the whole thing, because that has pillars. But I like the quaintness of it. I really like the nice structural,
Yeah, everything about it, from like the light colors to the detail. Wow. Yeah.
And you like dark sets. It might even be your favourite Voyager.
I do. I do like dark sets, yeah.
Well, is this too dark for you, Stuart? They're at Borg Alert.
No, it's not. It's perfect lighting for me. I love that. It's darker at the top there of those panels, but close-up of the helm console, and yes, everything is blue, or everything is green, because it has been Borg nanite infected. Or, sorry, macro nanite infected, because it becomes any... And you're right, they could have changed that front view screen. I'm glad they didn't. I love the shape, I love the size. So,
I know they're missing a detail on the bottom of the view screen, because my modeler said I don't want to make that detail, so please try. So we got close, but accepted a certain level of, because there's some weird shapes on the front of the view screen, just kind of fill space, and curved. So I'm pretty sure they skipped that. The top one's mostly there. I'm pretty sure they just skipped the bottom, which is fine. It's okay, right? Tiny details. But no, it looks great. And these sorts of random shots means such a lot. They aren't just, look, a drawn background. These are full 3D. They're full, they made it for real. But the next one, though, Stuart, engineering. So early in the episode. Look at that.
Yeah.
God.
Wow. Well, I was always impressed with Voyager's engineering room, at least the entryway. Around the warp core and the upper part, not so much, honestly. But yeah, none of the LCARs are on here, but that's okay. Like, it is an exhibit.
Mm-hmm. And boy, the overly large comm badges on the bill, but it's funny. It's good. It's funny.
I love those. The little like do not cross ropes with like the Voyager emblem.
And those wouldn't be hard to replicate either for a fan film going to a different museum and change Delta per era. So like, oh no, you can't go onto this. The bridges. Yeah, imagine we're gonna go on the was it New Jersey Bridge from from Picard. We're gonna go aboard the museum, and it's all just walled off by rope. It's like, right, we're out the can't touch anything. And then Captain's chair is just roped off. That'd be quite funny. But no, this is a really nice replica. It feels so. It's a darker set, right? Naturally, and it's lit by its own lighting more than the bridge. Really excellent. I think this one's really nailing it. And they even did the correct under... there's a red railing around the core. Those are correct pillars. And they could be simple. Like in Season 1 of Lower Decks, they'd just be a grey pillar. They're not simple pillars, right? If you're trying to do all the set, you could simplify certain elements. But they did it properly. Really.
Yeah, they really showed Voyager the love it deserves. Ooh, then we get the transporter room. Transporter console. It feels off, even though it's not. That console, the way it curves around, it's like the side closest to us. It seems way more dramatic of a turn, but it's supposed to be all just like a circular thing. This shot really reminded me of like the motion picture when McCoy beams on board. This transporter room has that kind of feel to it. But yeah, very well done. And small thing, but I love when Tiana said it's better than taking a shuttle. whereas every McCoy was the opposite way. But anyway,
a lovely excuse to have this set. Obviously, things I note, that corridor outside the room is not a real corridor. I don't know what that's trying to be. That's just random, right? So that's new. But of course, you have multiple transporters, and they don't all have to be off the main corridor. That's fine. It's just odd they wouldn't do that, but whatever. This is a hard set to do because it so revolves around the reflectiveness and non-reflectiveness of the pad. Because the blacks shouldn't reflect the entire set, but the bottom pads should. And I spent many a time sort of dialing in how far the reflection goes back into the bottom panel. It's very subtle, but your brain sort of notices the difference. So this looks really good. The only thing it's losing, and makes it feel just too dark, to me anyway, and we'll compare it obviously, is that there's that padding on the walls, which is just that sort of foam. On TNG it's kind of like egg crates almost vibe, and it's much brighter, it's like a green. Here it really is a foam. And it reads as brighter on the real set, so you don't actually lose that. Even though it's black, it's a foam, like it reflects light a bit. Here, especially in the transporter, it's so black. The set now just feels smaller and darker. I think they should.
I was feeling that too. Yeah, subconsciously.
Again, it's really because you can see it fine on the left, but it falls into nothingness. If that was 20% brighter. And if you read that, I think it would help the set a lot. 'Cause it kind of doesn't feel as much like Voyager to me because of that. Silly thing, but small thing.
As you pointed out, different corridor outside. We know that all the ships have multiple transporter rooms, so this is just another one, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
Pointing out what I'm seeing. Next shot though is the corridor with a cut in that has a display, which is not in the show, which I kind of love. A new bit of canon corridor. I love this corridor design. I love it. It's not as friendly as TNG, which is just orange and bright, but I love the simple changes to make this set feel different and yet really different, and I really love this corridor. What do you think?
Yeah, I've always been a fan of Voyager's corridors. Again, I like the color scheme. I mean, the Galaxy class feels a little bit more inviting, a little bit more larger, obviously, but these are more my style. I love the colors, and I think again they did a great job with it.
This is again a funny set to do. Built up these sets. And they did a great job replicating the under bottom of the wall because it's being lit from a recessed inner bit. So you're only lighting it by the fall off on other geometry because it's not hitting the corridor. It can't hit the corridor because it's being blocked by hull. So it has to go out of the. It's very and you don't want to overlight the carpet because again that looks too bright. It's very subtle. What's unusual about this shot is a ceiling. You never get this sort of shot. They had a full ceiling. You could do this shot, but they never did. So it's great they were able to create a whole new feeling. Like, appreciate the set versus the standard angle. So I appreciate them for doing something a bit different while still being totally consistent.
Next shot is the Galley. Setting up little placards on the table. I thought that was funny. Got the same chairs. I think it looks good. I love the lighting, the upper lighting in this one as well. The way those are sectioned off. It's just such a classic look. Like
Voyager, man, it was peak, clean, efficient, futuristic. Silvers, but not too sterile. It was like as if they learned lessons of years of other things. And this was barely used. I'm pleased they did so much of it. Yeah, it looks great. And of course, it is the captain's private galley mess hall. In DS9, it was used for reception. And obviously in Voyager it was used as Enix's personal playhouse. I mean food place. And then you always never see the ceiling lights. So again, a new perspective. As someone who's actually done the lights, I know them very well. And it's as silly as it sounds, because obviously in the show they were just fabric, and then you'd put lights above it, right? It was a diffuse the light, even though they're meant to be obviously just light panels. One sole trick I did to make mine feel more organic, because it is just lighting down. There's no depth there. I had them alternating brightnesses. So, light 1, light 2. So you have one like light level 50, one light level 20, and it creates a very subtle gradient between the room. So it's not just flat light. Super subtle, but it does make a difference. Really good replica. Even so much as getting the panel lines above the window, which are there in the original. And the little sofas.
The only thing you don't see in the background of behind Neelix is like his pots and pans and all this stuff that's felt out of place on this set. But
Well, they're assembling, looks like.
yeah.
And it is a much busier set later in the episode where they show a whole thing. But yeah, really good, just live. Speaking of live, gosh. And this, eh? 7 of 9's custom cargo bay with very detailed Borg alcoves. Look at them.
Yeah, it raised a question last time on my first reaction live. Why are these activated? I'm like, I think they only got activated when the one got knocked over. Because these guys, like, it feels like it's assimilating me. So I think they're just lit up. I don't think they're active. But anyway, regardless, it's a
The
museum
light
piece.
panels are on, but the actual recharge zones aren't on.
Yeah, like the little thing above her head that I have behind me here is off. So,
Of course, you build one, you clone it, right? It's not the hardest thing in the world, but I love the fact that everything's fully detailed with all the ribs, all the lines. Because you get away with not doing that. If this was season 1, ran out of time, ran out of money, you can make them flat colours, and it would be okay. It'd feel drawn. This feels like a cartoon set versus a drawn piece. Like, that's attention to all of the detail that we would want to see, and it's here, right? What more do you want, you know?
well, you do want those roped off, though, and they are roping them off, so that's good.
Yeah. And what a surreal thing, actually. If you're, obviously, you know Voyager, the style of it, but imagine walking onto this as a kid, say, and Borg are pretty mean. It's like, ugh. Because where else on any Federation ships you can see Borg tech? Real, genuine Borg. That's going to be... Yeah. You're going to feel something, I think, at seeing this.
Yeah. I love also, too, that it's a cargo bay, so it is a lot larger. You can see the height of that thing compared to the people, and it's exactly like it was.
Although it's really, really interesting. I love the yellow lights behind the alcoves, because they thought, we'll just add light and it'll give depth and shadow and blah, blah, blah. But it's odd to see how their lighting engine works, because if you look at the top green lights, they're clearly hitting the bulk. Subtly, but in the reflections. The bottom lights are clearly hitting the ropes and the boxes, but they're not hitting the floor in any way. Why are they not hitting the floor?
It's an anti-reflective surface, the floor, so it's fine.
Okay.
It's the materials, the carpet, or the floor just doesn't reflect light. It's fine.
It's an interesting thing to see, because that must be a conscious choice. It's a lighting engine, it just lights, right? It just does what it does. It's very odd to see it not...
Yeah, they are lighting the cargo containers there as well.
Very strange.
Edges.
It'd be subtle, right? There should be an impact light at the very least. Another one, entirely unnecessary, Astrometrics, and this is very... I feel like a blink you can miss it, how little it's kind of featured, and yet it's an important scene.
Yeah, and I didn't even register that it was Astrometrics until I was looking at this picture just now, because nothing's on. Like, the big display thing isn't showing anything. I don't think you really get a shot of the sides of the room also, which are very
No, I don't think you do either.
important for Astrometrics. It's like panning out a little bit from this shot, and then panning into this would have been better in my opinion, because I didn't register. I didn't even think that it was Astrometrics.
And it's a really nice set. It's really interesting. But yeah, the screen is such a defining point. Missing it is missing. It kind of makes it feel very plain without it. But they're just showing off. They're just showing off. You know, they're just those guys over there showing off.
And the last one is
Sick bay.
Sick bay. Oh yeah, the entrance for sick bay. Okay. Again, there's too many crates and stuff. Yeah, there's too many crates and stuff everywhere. It's hard to. Now I can see the bio beds. I just assumed they were like crates and stuff when I first watched it.
Well, again, this is they built something, they showed it, but didn't get the specific love. But again, good to see our characters in a set. It's nice how they've got some famous pieces, but I don't think that cortical stimulator is to scale on the right. Although actually there is. There's a tiny one and a big one. That's weird. So I guess there is one to scale, and they thought, oh, because it's so small, no one can see it. You know, this is the famous cortical stimulator made bigger. What a weird thing to do. Or they ran out of prop budget, so they said, "I'll build it," and they go, "Zoop. No one's gonna notice."
No one will notice. The oldest is just in the book.
And this is one of those sets I'm so nervous to get built, because I understand the shapes of the room feel so curved, and there's little pieces, but also a lot of cloned pieces, right? Like the beds are all cloned, but it'd be such a fun set to have. Don't know how I'd use it. I haven't got any doctors.
I wish they would have showed off the main bio bed though.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
With that lighting behind it, like it's just so classic. Then I would have known that it was sick bay.
Yeah, because it's a really plain green space filled with stuff, which is not what sick bay is. It's a very clean, empty room with distinct depth of the beds. But yeah, it's very interesting. But they kept doing it. They kept doing cool stuff, right? That's the point of this episode. They just kept throwing us stuff. And I can't wait to do direct comparisons. I feel like they're going to be pretty close and everything. You know, End on the Bridge. I mean, my goodness. I mean, this is... We would not have even think to ask for this year, last year, when season 1 started. This is more than an episode's budget to recreate this, right? And yet they did. Amazing. You know? Amazing.
Again, Mike McMahon and his team do a fantastic job, and we thank them for all of their hard work. So if you guys want to thank them for their hard work as well, you can do so in the comments section. Thank us for our hard work. It's not that hard. It's kind of fun. But anyway, thank us, or do whatever you want to do in the comment section down below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click the bell notification icon to all so you don't miss any content. We have more breakdowns coming out about this particular episode as well as others. So don't miss that stuff, and don't miss any of our lives either, where we can get to chat with you guys in real time. We love hanging out with you guys.
And while you're hanging out with us, you can support us via Super Chat on our live. Direct communication, your point, your voice, your genius idea. Put it on Super Chat or Super Thanks on any video, on any area we do on Trekyards. Thank you in advance for that. Or regularly, monthly, Patreon, or join the channel. Both are the same thing, both in similar ways, but one's on YouTube, one's on Patreon. Any and all help does allow us to do this and other detailed breakdowns and reactions and just experiencing it with you guys. You know, taking a few seconds of a clip and making a 25-minute discussion about it. The length of the episode, talking about... That's what we do. You know, it's what we do. It's a good discussion, so, you know, tune in for more. And our full detailed breakdowns, especially on the bridge, because that will be interesting. So just stop watching this. Go watch them. Is that an order, Stuart Foley?
It is an order.
Maybe you're a captain. Maybe.
I can't give an order though.
Maybe
I'm not a captain.
Maybe. Okay, Captain Stuart Foley. There you go. There you go.
Oh, there you go. Yes,
say the word, Stuart. Say the word.
Go watch. The word is given. There you go.
Thank you, Egon.
Go watch all of our other content. Anyway, guys, until next time, whenever we see you, he is Commander Cockings.
He's Captain Foley. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.